Welcome, everybody, to Guess the Guest Live, brought to you by Earfluence. We're streaming live on 99.9 Sports Fan Facebook page, and that means you have an opportunity to guess the guest.
Is this DeMarcus Nelson?
Oh, Lord, we're doing that?
No, not DeMarcus.
Is your first name between A and J? Oh, come on! Is it W-A-T something? It's all coming gushing back to me now that I know we're talking to Brandon Robinson. Everybody hated that guy because he played awesome defense. I'm talking about there. Hello, Daniel Ewing. Thank you so much for joining us. Right. You are now coaching your son in a Division I program. I want to know how you manage this with Brandon.
Wow.
Duke plays Carolina next year, and the live censor guy has to censor the two coaches. Who is going to need more censoring, Mike Krzyzewski or Roy Williams?
Coach K. They held up the sign and shook him, and he shimmied that coach like he shimmied that coach, and that pissed him off.
You know, as he's ranting and raving about putting us out, kicking us out, whatever, he decides that he wants to take his frustration out on the trash can.
He walks back in. He was like, he shimmied at me, and like,
and the only thing that falls out is like an empty bottle of Gatorade and like a piece of paper.
Grant Hill, I think, when I think about the brotherhood, he's like the president of the brotherhood.
I think Coach Smith is the greatest coach out of all the coaches in any sport to ever live, and he was also a great man.
Welcome to Guess the Guest Live, an interactive live stream where the host and the audience have no idea who the weekly guest is other than it's a former or current ACC basketball star. Will that guest be a Tar Heel, a Blue Devil, a Demon Deacon, an ACC champion, an All-American? You'll have to play along to find out. And here's the secret keeper, the mystery maker, the ACC connection, the producer of Guess the Guest Live, Candace Cooper.
I presented State Pool College of Management. We're streaming live on 99.9 WRL Sports Fan Facebook page, and that means that you have a chance to be in on the action. Can you guess the guest before our host, Penn Holderness? We teased this one out earlier, but our guest is one clue. Okay, Penn, here it is. Okay. He is someone, and I'll even tell you it's a guy this time because I feel like that's how much you need it today. He changed the course of ACC basketball history.
Okay.
If you can guess in the chat first, you'll get eternal bragging rights plus a coffee gift box from Gabi's Grounds. So what's going through your head right now, Penn?
So first of all, I'm starting to develop some anxiety about this whole thing. I've been very lucky to have not messed up yet. I think this is the week. And you just said that backstage you think this is the week. I had a dream last night that I was on this show and that like the person behind the screen, I couldn't guess him. It ended up being my uncle, and he was really upset with me. He's not even an athlete. He didn't play basketball, but clearly I'm having some issues with this show. So that's where I am mentally right now. So
okay, yeah. Perfect. Which means you're solely going to not get it tonight, which is great for me. Again, it's great for our guests. They can guess the guest first and get their Gabi's Ground. So it's perfect. Cool.
There you go.
So all right. I will now have our guests come on in and turn their mic on.
Testing 1, 2.
All right. You are in there. Penn Holderness, go for it.
Wow. Well, first of all, our guest has a great voice. I'll say that. All right. Hello, guest. Let's start with this. Did you play for the University of North Carolina?
No.
Okay. And I usually just go through all these. I'll go through all the colleges. Did you play for Duke University?
Yes.
You played for Duke University. All right. Don't take this the wrong way, but you have a very deep and mature voice. So I'm going to try to guess when you played, and I'm going to start back. I'm going to say, did you play between the 80s and 90s?
Yes.
You did? Did you play for Mike Krzyzewski?
Yes.
Okay, well, that was quite the. Hang on, is this a stunt voice? Because this sounds like.
No, it's
Oh,
not. It's the real.
It sounds
my
like
voice.
Dennis Haysbert. It sounds like it sounds like the. Okay, all right. So you played for Mike Krzyzewski.
You let me go. Hey, get no respect. I tell you, no respect at all.
All right, so I heard that Candace's clue was that you changed the course of ACC basketball. I know Mike Krzyzewski started coaching in the early 80s. Were you part of the 1986 Final Four team?
No.
Okay. Were you there before?
Yes.
Well, crap. Because that's like basically where my trivia of Duke basketball started. I know a couple of guys who were like in the rafters back then, and I'm wondering, when you say change the course, I wonder if he like had something to do with Mike Krzyzewski, or if he was like an early recruit of his or something like that. So if you weren't on the 1986 team, that rules out David Henderson, Johnny Dawkins, Tommy Amaker, Danny Ferry, because he was a freshman that year, Mark Allery, Jay Billis. Those guys were all on that team. Did you graduate? Did you play with any of those guys I just named?
No.
So you're early 80s.
Am I supposed to answer that?
Yes.
Yes.
Technically, no.
No, that was a yes or no question.
Was it?
Yes, I said, so you're early 80s. He said yes.
Okay.
Guess, what is your first name? I'm joking. Don't answer that. You can only answer yes or no questions. All right. I know two guys that I'm going to guess right off the bat, and let's just see if I get it right. Is this Mike Jaminski?
No.
Is this Gene Banks?
Am I supposed to answer that?
Yes.
Yes, you can answer.
Yes, it is.
Oh, get some, Candace! You forget how old I am, Candace. Gene Banks was the man in Durham. I'm telling you. No, he was. Candace forgets that I was born in Durham in 1974, and I got some knowledge.
Hey, you know what? It gets the people going if they feel like you can't.
Candace, his jersey's in the rafters.
I'm just saying.
He was part of the.
I was in Coach.
Wave that.
Yeah, Coach K's first year was my senior year.
Oh my gosh! How about that? So Coach K rolls in to Durham and he gets Gene Banks. Hey, I'm gonna stop talking because we need to see Gene Banks.
Yeah, Gene, you can totally turn your camera on.
Oh, what an honor! One of the great Blue Devils of all time. Gene, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, and congratulations to the first person to guess the guest. For your elite ACC knowledge, we are sending you a Man Cave gift box from Gabi's Grounds Coffee. For those of you who don't know Gabi Grounds, Gabi is an entrepreneur with special needs, and the company is on a mission to empower the special abilities community to find their place in the world and enjoy fulfillment in everything that they do. Head on over to gabisgrounds.com to learn more. All right, Penn. Hit him with the questions, because I feel like you're excited right now as a Durham native.
I am.
I just need you to get these questions out here.
So, like right around the time that that Michael Jordan was coming in as a recruit, and when James Worthy had spent a couple years from Gastonia to play for North Carolina, they were the hot ticket. And meanwhile, Duke was going through this kind of managerial change, and Coach K comes over and starts recruiting. And there was this there was a great article. There's a great book by John. I think it was John Feinstein and Gene Banks. You were mentioned in that book.
For of his team.
Yeah. So will you tell me about that, about your senior year and about the first year with Coach K?
Well, the thing what happened with Coach K was Kenny Denard and I were the returning people, and Vince Taylor. Vince Taylor was another one of the players. We knew nothing about who was coming in. It leaked out that maybe Tom Davis from Iowa was coming, but there was no inkling with us. They never suggested, never told anything else. So I went to Philadelphia, took an extra week off. Kenny went down to the Keys and laid out on the beach and all that other stuff. We took some time off. Let's say some extra time off. And I'm in the kitchen with my mom, and she's cooking a big some chicken and grits and all kind of stuff, and the family's in there, and we're watching the news, and the news comes on. They said Duke has a new head coach. His name is Mike. They couldn't even pronounce the name.
Kujarewski.
Yeah. And they looked at me and said, I said, no, I know nothing about it. So after that happened, they thought that Kenny and I were boycotting the press conference because we weren't there, but we just took an extra week off, whatever the case may be. But Kay called us that night and asked us to come back. We got back and we had a meeting with him. And in the first meeting, he was real young looking, considering. Because I was 21, he was 32, 33. So he broke it down. We loved the way he talked, and it was pretty cool. We weren't people that were going to go against authority. So he came in with his line, what he was going to do. If people believe what I'm trying to do, we're going to be all right. And that's how we connected from that day one.
What's the biggest difference between ACC basketball in 1979, 1980, and 2020?
The players are different. A lot of more dedication. Guys were more like folk heroes. They were more in tune to the team. I'm not saying these guys aren't. It's not that they don't like the school or their team. They're definitely camaraderie is the number one key. But now these guys are playing, and they're looking to go to the next level automatically. When we came in, we're looking to play for our school colors, our classmates, and all that. So it's a different type of attitude. The training is different now. They got like 3 or 4 different trainers. We had to go through a training process. We went through that hard knocks boot camp type of thing. But it's a different mentality now, where these guys, they're coming in and they're great players now. Especially with Duke, being McDonald's All-Americans. And I'm proud to say I'm the very first McDonald's All-American and the very first MVP McDonald's All-American in the game. So all these guys are coming in, they're looking to go, they're looking to go pro. They're looking to go pro. They're looking to have that experience, but their whole concept is about going to the next level.
I thought that the answer you were going to give me was that the rims at Cameron Indoor Stadium were made of solid iron when you were there. Do you remember those rims? Like, because I remember going to games.
Yeah,
they were like, if you missed a shot, the ball would bounce into the 4th row. And the same shot right now would gently go off the front rim, off the backboard, and probably into the net.
Well, they definitely made some changes to the rims and to the balls, and progress. It's all about change and progress, and change different balls and different makers and rims. So I would not dispel that.
So, Gene, I was listening to your podcast, The Bank Shot, and you had the great Ralph Sampson on there. And he told me he got to share his story about how he came to Virginia. And I'm still a little upset about how he almost went to Carolina. That broke my heart there, hearing that he almost picked UNC. But I didn't get to hear your story and how you chose Duke. So can you share that with us?
Well, honestly, Duke was really divine intervention. I mean, I had to pick 5 schools. I picked Michigan, Notre Dame, Carolina, NC State, and UCLA. And I had one more. Back then, you only allowed to visit 6 schools. And the thing was, I had one more school left. I was going, my English teacher, I got in trouble for getting a paper in late. So he made me have to come to his home afterwards. And it turned out to be great for me because I got great tutoring. He enhanced my academia. But he kept pushing the idea of, I had a book in my bag. It was a book on Duke. Bill Foster left a book about Duke University, but it was the university. It wasn't the basketball team because they were horrible. My English teacher saw this brochure of the Duke's campus, and he says, "Oh, fine institution. You should go down and visit." I said, "Well, I'm not really interested in." He says, "If nothing else, you should go. You got one more visit." So to get him off my back, I said, "I'll go visit." So they wound up giving the visit. I went down and visit. I saw the school was beautiful. It was small, but most of the students from all over the place. I would have went to University of Penn, but University of Penn at that time, the Ivy League had that you had to play freshman ball, not varsity ball. So that eliminated me going to University of Penn, and I really was going to UCLA. I tell you, when I visited UCLA, Marcus Johnson took me to Hugh Hefner's Playboy Mansion house. So
Oh,
if they had the letter of intent
slightly
that day,
different. Yeah.
yeah, if they had the letter of intent with them there, I would have signed it right then and there. Let me just say that. That's all I can say about that visit. But anyway, to get to the matter, I came back and I had to start making decisions, and I didn't really know where I wanted to go. I mean, Philadelphia was pushing me to stay home. Villanova was one of those big keys too. And I was able to come home because I stayed away from home for 2 or 3 weeks because the recruiting was crazy. I came on and I went up to my room. I told Mom, I said, Mom, I really don't know where, all the schools are really nice. All the schools are really good. And she says, listen, she was standing by my door. She says, you come in the room, I'm going to let nobody bother you. And all she said to me is, you pray on it. She said, just pray on it. And she closed my door and she locked it. My mother's never locked my door ever. She locked my door. She would let my brothers and sisters and nobody come up. And I lay back, closed my eyes, and I put on my Barry White music. I love Barry White back then. So
it's the voice that I heard when you were talking about it.
yeah.
Like you got a little bit.
I love the orchestra and everything. And here's the thing: when I laid down, I started dreaming, and I dreamt wearing a Duke uniform. And I dreamt playing in basketball games. I dreamt the travel. It was like a story dream I had. When I woke up, because we were raised, my mom raised us to believe in visions. And when I woke up, I said, Mom, I know where I want to go. She says, okay. She didn't even ask me. She said, okay, let me call the school, let them know, because you got to remember, I'm the #1 player in the country, and everybody wants to know where I'm going. So I said, just call. So the principal said, no, don't tell them to come up here. We're going to get things arranged and come up 2 more hours. So no one knew. I called a friend of mine that was for the Bulletin newspaper. I gave him this. He came over, gave him kind of the scoop. And then me and my mom left from there and walked up to school. The most amazing thing of that was when we were walking up to school, it's only 4 or 5 blocks away. She was going with me. I was scared. I'm getting ready to make a man's decision, get ready to go to school. I'm not sure. I think this is where I want to go. I made this. I'm sure I want to go here, blah, 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 blah. And I'm walking like she's taking me to kindergarten. And I was scared. And just then I had my hand, and my mom reached down and she grabbed my hand. And she looked down at me and she said, everything's going to be fine. And when she said that, I was cool. I mean, she took the pressure off everything.
Wow.
I went into the press conference, and when I told them I was going to Duke, because no one really knew, I kept that really hush hush. People freaked out. They said, what the hell? Duke? Does Duke even have a basketball team? Because they were in last place for like 4 or 5 years. And they said, and the people wanted me to stay home. My closest friends had deals behind my back over UCLA. They had apartments and cars.
Hang on now. Really?
Yep. Yeah.
So they were like contacting your friends and giving them stuff?
Yeah. They had things. Villanova had a set up. There was all kind of things that were going on behind my back. I knew but didn't know. But and I never confided in about Duke. So when they heard that, they freaked out. And back then, you didn't have the cell phones and the social media. The reporters jumped up and ran to find a phone, that kind of thing.
Right.
So it was an interesting day. And I just said that, I'm going to go Duke. I'm going to go there and make them, hopefully I can make them a national power.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I mean, so recruiting sounds interesting in the 1970s between the.
It was crazy. 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 It was crazy, man. It was unbelievable. I mean, some guys left money. People came through my basement. I had to stay away from the house for a while.
Wow.
It was like that. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
And what was it? What we think it was? Was it just like there were multiple levels of separation from the highest levels of that institution, but just people kind of in between trying to sneak stuff in?
Yeah, it's all people in between, alumni, friends. Everybody tries to get themselves involved. Everybody. It's crazy. It's really amazing.
Well, I'll ask my last question for me. I want to know, because everyone talks about the Michael Jordan, LeBron James debate, right? But I'm talking to an ACC legend myself. So I want to know, if you could have an ACC GOAT, who is your best player of all time in the ACC? And you can say yourself. I'm totally fine if you said yourself. But if there was a player that you're just like, you know what? People had to see with their own eyes to be amazed by this man. Who would it be?
That's a tough one because right off the bat you say David Thompson. Off the bat, David Thompson's a top notch. He was unbelievable. Michael was good. But Michael really was. James Worthy was the man on that team.
Yeah.
You know, James was the guy. Then you got to look at the gargantuan Ralph Sampson. You know, I wasn't scared of Ralph, but I was amazed when I saw him run the floor. His graceful, how tall, like a big giraffe. You know, he was graceful and he could do those things. He was amazing to me.
Yeah.
And then I didn't ever play against Lenny Bias, but then Lenny Bias was an amazing player too. So I mean, it's hard to really pick. By being old school, I would have to go with David Thompson. Ralph still gets a hot nod, Worthy, and then Lenny Bias, but I give David Thompson a nod. I give him a nod.
I think there's a lot of people who go that way. I think the only person I can't believe you didn't mention was Christian Laettner.
Yeah, well, Christian is my all-time. He's the greatest in Duke history. They have these arguments, and so and I give Christian. He's giving me the moniker name of the Godfather of Duke basketball. And I love Christian, and we talk a great deal. And like I said, he's hands down the greatest Duke player ever. Because you know he won back to back. You know that's not easy to do when you win a back to back NCAA championship. So yeah, I'm glad you corrected me, because you would have to put him in there, and even almost ahead of tough to put him ahead of Ralph, because Ralph was like
he was
globally known. Yeah, so. But you got to give Christian one. David, Ralph, Christian, you got to give him that. That's what my pick would be.
Okay.
She mentioned Michael Jordan. I got a short question followed by a long question. The short question is: did you watch the documentary over the?
Yeah,
spring?
I did. I was in it a couple times.
I know. So the next question is: the way they portrayed the Bulls team when he got there wasn't exactly flattering.
Well, he was talking more his rookie year.
Yeah.
You know, his rookie year. No, I wasn't there during that rookie year that he had.
Okay, that's good to know. But I'd love to know what you saw in the development and the maturation of Michael Jordan. I know you watched him in college. I know you didn't play against him. You missed him by a year. But what was it like playing with him?
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I mean, I played with him for 2.5 years. The great thing about it was he was, as far as a player, I've never seen. He was like a machine. You know, he would come in. He would never cross the line before practice. He would talk gum, chew his gum, and talk. But once he crossed that line, he was a maniac. He loved the practice. He came at you in practice. We took him out. I mean, we physically beat the hell out of him, and he took it. But he did some things in practice that were amazing. He really worked hard in practice. He came at you so the games for him were pretty much easier than practices were. I watched him through his development with image. You know, I was there the second year when the shoes started taking off. Mike was very image conscious. He is a type of guy that's very, very competitive. He doesn't like to lose in anything. That's very, very true. He will keep you there. He would block the door if you lost a game of cards or ping pong just to get even with you. It was really crazy, but it was phenomenal. I'm glad. I'm very blessed to have the opportunity to have experienced that and been a part of that.
And we also have to have our infamous pin. You know the game that we play for every guest. Your favorite coach's story. So if there's a favorite Coach K story that you have of all time, funny or not. Right now, the lead is, I believe it's Justin Watts. He talks about Coach Roy, but there was a Coach K story from Daniel Ewing sharing how Coach K kicked the trash can and it didn't go very far.
And one little plastic bag came out and they couldn't laugh until they got into the locker room.
Yeah, because he was mad.
Well, my story is the Carolina game. I hit the shot to tie it.
1981.
Yep, and I hit the shot to win it in overtime. And Coach K went home. Him and Mickey went home. And he came back the very next day, and he had this walk. He was walking around like his chest was out. He was smiling, and I hollered out, and I cracked a joke to him. I said, "You forgive my being respectful." I said, "You went home, Nick, didn't you? You know, you went home, Nick, didn't you?" And he looked with me in amazement, and like I thought he was going to get mad at him. He looked, and he smiled. And gave it and walked away and bounced away and closed, and then come to find out she did get pregnant from that game.
Oh my gosh!
Yep. That's a true story.
You win.
That's a true.
It was also succinct. It was like less than a minute long.
That was a true story.
So
That
it's
is
funny
awesome.
that we gave you the hint that you changed the course of ACC history. I didn't realize it was because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is
we
so awesome.
we kid him every now. I said that daughter should have been named after me. So
Hey, Gene can go both ways. Gene can go both ways.
yeah, it is.
That is so good.
Hey, before we let you go, can you tell us a little bit about your podcast?
Yeah, the podcast is it's amazing that we got the name fits in, and it's called The Bank Shot with Gene Banks, and the podcast talks. We talk to iconic players and just athletes and so forth, but we're going to even expand that. And I try to be equal and balanced. We've had Lindsey Harding. She's now an NBA coach as well as playing one of the national players of the year. We've had Ralph Sampson. We've done Phil Ford. We've done Leonard Hamilton from Florida State. We've done Charles Oakley. We've done Rick Mahorn from the Bad Boys. We've done the Iceman. And then my story is on there too. And then there's a lot of stories. And I wasn't really going to do a podcast. I do so many. And a friend of mine kept saying, "You doing everybody's podcast? Why don't you do your own?" I said, "I never have time to do that, and it takes more than what it is." I said, "Well, we got this pandemic. You got a lot of time now." So she said, "Let me do your website." The website is amazing. It's unbelievable. It's www.genebankslegend.com. And when they put the website, they said, "You look at the website, and then you let us know if you want us to do a podcast." And when I saw that, what they did is like a menagerie in there. It's going to even be bigger. It's videos in there. It's amazing. I'm so blessed to have them do what they do, and it's been phenomenal. So we air it every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But it's like a playlist. You can go in. It's on Spotify. It's on Breaker. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on all the podcast media. But it's even easier just to go on my website, www.genebankslegend.com, and there's a podcast section in there, and you can hear all the shows. And it's really well done. I'm very pleased and thankful with the staff I have. They like they put your voices in, you know your research and all that. So I'm having fun with it. I'm really enjoying it.
It's really top notch. I can attest to saying I've listened to a couple episodes, very conversational, and I was riding along good 30 minutes, and I was like, I have to go, but I still want to figure out the end of the story. So I absolutely recommend it.
Yeah, a lot of people have mentioned it because these guys. I want to talk about their beginnings, and it's not about the X's and O's. And Ralph set the tone. Yeah. Ralph got to talking, and he got to saying some stuff, and I said that's going to be my format. And then I can tip. It says, and everybody I've had connections with, so we're able to really pull some things. I don't deal with controversy. I don't bring those things up. I let them be allowed to do it. But it's all about a feel good. Who was that neighbor you grew up with? Who helped you when your mom and them was watching? How was it in school? These are things that they don't really get a chance to talk about. And it's amazing the stories that come out of that.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. You have a great voice for a podcast, by the way. I can just I haven't listened to it, but now I'm going to. And I'm looking at the list of people. I would love to hear from Gervin. And as a UVA grad, I would love to hear from Ralph Sampson. So it's been awesome talking to you. Also, thank you for helping continue the Krzyzewski family bloodline with that story.
Yes.
Yes, Gene. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate
Thank you.
You are all set. You have a good night.
I will. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye. Wow. That's the story, right?
Yep. That's move over. Sorry, Justin. Sorry, Daniel.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you every week. Pin, you got it. I'm proud. I really thought this was going to be the week, but
you forget how old I am, and then I grew up in Durham. If you're gonna get me on some sneaky guy who played 5 or 6 years ago when I had toddlers. Okay, because when you have toddlers, you don't have time to watch ACC basketball. I think that's where I'm in trouble. Yeah.
Okay. Noted. I got that for next time. I think you might get beat again, but thank you guys so much again. Hope you guys come back next week.